Hello everyone, my name is Avleen and I am your economics educator on Study Room. So in our today's video lecture, we are going to discuss our second chapter of economics, sector of the Indian economy. So let's see what are the first topic that we have in front of us. Economic activities across sectors. So by the statement, we are guessing that there are few activities that are shown to us. First is farmers grow cotton on fields. Okay. A truck driver brings cotton from field to factory. All right. Factories use cotton to make clothes. A shopkeeper sells us the clothes. Okay, so without any further ado, let's see from the start. First, a farmer grows cotton. After that, a truck driver brings cotton to us to the factory. Then factory uses that cotton to make clothes. And once clothes are ready, then a shopkeeper sells us. Okay, so quite a big and lengthy process. Moving forward, primary sector. What's primary sector? Goods produced by extraction and collection of natural resource. So basically the farmer part is our primary sector. Goods produced by extracting the natural sources and then collecting it into a bucket or any container that we have with us. That is. So farming, all of a mining. So these are the few examples of your primary sector, which is you can also learn that it's the first step towards anything. Moving forward, secondary sector, also called the industrial sector. Goods are produced by transforming their natural form to something else by way of manufacturing. For example, remember cotton clothes. So cotton, collecting cotton, extracting and collection of cotton can come in our primary sector. Then industrial sector, also known as secondary sector. So when that raw material, cotton, comes into the factory, so there it's the time where they are being transformed into, you can say, cotton clothes, cotton t-shirts, cotton shirts, and also the bed sheets, some scarves, things like that. So all of that activities comes to secondary sector. Moving forward, let's see, tertiary sector helps the first two sectors in their production of goods and is called service sector. So basically we are having two names for our secondary sector as well, and now the tertiary sector as well. Secondary sector is known as industrial sector. Tertiary sector is known as service sector. And one more thing that it says over here is that it helps the two sector with that we learned just now, primary and secondary, in their production of goods. Okay. Moving forward, we are having an activity. Complete the table to show how sectors are dependent on each other. Okay. So there is an example also that's given to us. Farmer refuse to sell a sugar mill, the mill shuts down. So basically over here the secondary sector is dependent on primary sector because farmer is the one who will be working with sugarcane, and only then sugarcane can be further distributed in the secondary sectors, which is your industrial sector. So over here we can say that secondary sector is dependent on your primary sector. Now let's see our second example. Companies refuse to buy cotton from farmers in India. So companies, I'll just write over. So companies are now saying no to buy cotton from farmers in India. So over here, companies are refusing. All of these companies comes to, you can say, secondary sector. So basically now we can say that primary sector is dependent on secondary sector. Moving forward, people working in industries need food, but transport companies go on strike. So if the food will not be transported, so they'll not be able to eat. And industrial sector is also known as people working in industries. So that means it's talking about the industrial sector. So now we can say, okay, the second point over here is that food, but transport companies go on strike. So over here we can see that it's secondary sector that is dependent on our tertiary sector. So like this, basically before giving the answers, what you can do is you can try to say this example in your mind 2 to 3 times like I just did, and you can observe that by saying the question I started saying the answer. So this is a very good trick that all of you can also have while writing your answers. Moving forward, explain the difference between primary, secondary, tertiary sectors using examples other than those mentioned in the text. So primary sector, you can always explain by first writing your definition and then giving the example that farming. And in definition, you can write that it is the sector that helps us in extraction and collection of natural resources. For example, farming and mining. Then in secondary sector, you can say that this one is also known as industrial sector, and this particularly helps us into transforming part. And then again, same thing you can apply for tertiary sector. First, you can write the definition and then you can mention some examples in order to justify your definition. So moving forward, question 2. Classify these occupations under primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. Okay. So tailor. Tailor basically tailors the raw material that is given to him by primary sectors. So making clothes, industrial. So this can be your secondary sector. Basket weaver can also come in your secondary sector. Flower cultivator, so this is your primary. Milk vendor is milk vendor can be your tertiary. Fisherman is your primary. Priest, now talking about priest, then priest is yours, so he will come under your tertiary sector. Then your courier can also come in your tertiary, or you can also count it to be in your secondary, since depending like in what way they are saying. Couriers are always sent by factories, like they are all done, work is always done in factories or big offices. So make sure that whatever question comes in the exam, just write, be very specific. Okay. Workers in match factory basically is indicating to secondary sector. Money lender will come under your tertiary. Gardeners will come under your primary. Then beekeepers will again come into your primary. Then astronauts will come under your tertiary sectors. Potters are the people who again work with raw materials. So over here you can see that these are two examples that are given to us. Number one over here is potter, and there is also the example of basket weaver and beekeeper. So all of these will basically come under your secondary sector, because as you can see, all of them are working with raw, something that's natural, something that's raw. So that's why potter will also be coming under primary, not secondary. Call center employees will again come under your tertiary. Now moving forward to our next question, which says, students in a school are often classified into primary and secondary, or junior and senior. What is the criteria that is used? Do you think this is a useful classification? Discuss. So yes, we do agree that students are always classified into secondary or primary, juniors, seniors. So this is basically a very useful criteria because you cannot categorize all the students based on their age. So that's not possible for us to categorize all the students based on their age. That is the reason that we use the grading system where we classify students as to this belongs to this grade, so that's primary, this belongs to this grade, so that's secondary. So this is the main reason. Moving forward, comparing the three sectors. How many goods and services are produced or purchased, and how many people are employed in each sector? So, over here, as you can see this question, you might say that, ma'am, this is what kind of question is this? This is not a good question, something is wrong. But if you dig deep, then you'll see that this question is actually like very knowledgeable questions, and it's asking literally all the point of the sectors that we have discussed till now. Plus, it's asking points from some, very generic common sense questions. So the first thing that you will be doing over here is that make sure that you are telling about every sector. So basically all the three sectors, make sure you're telling about that which sector is which sector holds which activity in it. After that, make sure that you tell that there are many people, large sum of people are employed in your primary sector. Reason being that there is not enough opportunities of basically there is not enough job opportunities that are available to them when you talk about secondary and tertiary sector. So make sure that you, when these type of questions comes, you literally jot down every point that you have, that every point that you know related to that topic, but in a proper sequence. So moving forward, let's see comparing the three sectors. So now, as per to this question, now they will compare the three sectors: primary, secondary and tertiary. Counting the total production in each sector, economists suggest that the value of goods and services should be used rather than the number of goods. Only final goods and services should be counted. So basically, what good will be that good? That means that product will be doing to us if it's not of good quality. Either way, it's going to waste. So that is the reason that economists suggest that the values of goods and services should be used rather than the number of goods and services. Basically, you must have heard of the phrase that it's quality that counts, not the quantity. So this is what the whole perspective of these people are. Now moving forward, I would like to present all of you to a small video which will show you the difference between how primary, secondary and tertiary sector are interrelated. So let's see this video in order to understand better. I hope this video now is basically providing you with a clear perspective as to how, with one example, with one product, it was basically showing how primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors are interrelated. Now, let us move forward and see what's next. So, the next topic that we have over here is gross domestic product, also known as GDP. So, the value of the final goods and services produced across all three sectors within a country during a particular year. So, now basically it's giving us a definition of GDP in the way that if someone asks you what is a GDP, so you can clearly state that it's a value of all the final goods and services that are produced across all the three sectors, primary, secondary, and tertiary, during a country in a particular year. So, this is what the definition of GDP says.